Housekeeping, we did have a 3-page handout in the back, so if you didn't grab one on your way out, you can grab one. In addition, there are comment cards in the back, so you can leave those. So I'd like to introduce, I'm Nathaniel Panther, Assistant County Engineer. With me is Deanna Brooks. She's the project manager for this project. We have the county manager, Michael Kaigler, and then your commissioner for this district, Commissioner Milton. And I think you want to say a few words?
Yeah, I want to thank all y'all for coming out. We got a good crowd. And the purpose of this meeting is to update you on the improvements on Garrard Avenue. So some of you may have or may not have been, we've had 3 meetings already on this. This is the 4th meeting. So we're going to bring you up to date on where we are with that now. And there are some sign-in sheets back in the back. I'd like for you to sign in, give me your information so that I can correspond with you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Commissioner. So, and the first page of the handout's just your project location. The location of the project that we're here to talk about is from Garrard Avenue, from Chatham Parkway back to Lane Avenue over to Gamble Road. So that's on the first page. We've heard a lot of questions about the need and purpose for the project. So on page 2, if you turn to that, there's 4 different lines. The first one being, the first purpose is address poor pavement conditions. I drove down the road tonight. I'm sure most of you drove down the road. The road is in need of improvements. It needs to be rebuilt in some areas, resurfaced in others. So that's one of the purposes, and the need is the existing pavement is cracking, rutting, experiencing potholes, and it's getting worse by the day. We recognize that. Secondly, provide adequate lane widths. One of the things we found is that the existing travel lanes are anywhere from 8, 9, 10 feet wide. That's not enough. That's unsafe for you folks to travel on. In addition, when the CAT buses stopped, we saw a lot of accidents where people were trying to go around the buses, clipping their mirrors and stuff because there's just not enough room for folks to get around. So when you hear that we're widening, we are widening to 11-foot lanes, but we are not widening to increase or make people go faster. We're widening to make it safer so that you don't run off the road. The majority of this road will have curb and gutter in a lot of areas, so that's going to narrow it up and help keep people in the road. The third purpose is to provide multimodal travel options and connectivity. And what that means is there's a lack of existing pedestrian and bicycle facilities tied to the existing residential areas, the commercial areas, churches, and whatnot. If y'all, live along Garrard and you wanted to go to church on Sunday morning, it's a nice morning, and wanted to walk or bike, there's no safe way to do that right now. If someone's in a wheelchair in one of the neighborhoods and needs to get to the bus stop, they can't do that right now. That's one of the reasons we're including the pedestrian improvements as a part of the project. And then lastly, the last purpose is to enhance the operation and safety of the road. Currently, the road lacks turn lanes, bus stop pull-offs, and ADA pedestrian crosswalks and facilities, which goes back to those with disabilities that they can't use that existing facility now. And then the last page gives you a general idea of what the road would look like, typically going down Garrard Avenue. You have 2 11-foot travel lanes, curb and gutter in the majority of sections. We do have a sidewalk on one side and then an 8 to 10-foot shared use path. The width of that is still being talked about, but we are trying to do a shared use path as a part of this project. So to walk through the limits a little bit, starting at Chatham Parkway, we've heard from numerous folks, including those at the church, of the accidents that have occurred there. So we did an intersection control evaluation, and we identified that, was a traffic signal warranted? I don't believe a traffic signal was warranted, but a roundabout was warranted. And the benefits of a roundabout, this is one of our most important displays that we have. This is a typical 4-way intersection. A typical 4-way intersection has 32 conflict points. And a conflict point is a point where 2 vehicles can cross paths and potentially have an accident. When you convert an intersection from a 4-way approach to a roundabout, you take that from 32 conflict points down to 8 conflict points. You significantly increase the safety of the intersection. You make folks slow down in the vicinity of the intersection So it essentially acts as traffic calming. So that's the first part of the project. Then walking down most of the major intersections, we're going to add some sort of turn lanes into the neighborhoods. That's a big problem. We saw some rear end collisions throughout the corridor. So adding those turn lanes, and then more importantly, the bus turnouts at several locations will give the CAT buses a place to pull out outside of the travel lane and allow the vehicles to continue to move in two directions. So that's an important part of the project. We've heard a lot of concerns about the curve, the existing curve down there. Currently, that curve is not designed to the speed limit that is out there today. So what we're going to do as a part of the project is they're able to flatten out the curve. They're going to put curb and gutter through that section to kind of guide and keep people through the road. And the new design will be to a 35 mile per hour standard. Obviously, we'll continue to have the signs and whatnot in that area. And then going back to Lane, we'll have intersection improvements at Lane. And then there's at least one, or there's two crosswalk areas / hawk signals. They're pedestrian signals that you can cross from one side of the pedestrian improvements to the other. The value of those is we can actually put a center median, a concrete median in to act as traffic calming and help slow folks down at different points in the road. So one of those is just past the curve, and then a second one is just down towards Brandlewood Drive. So that's a general overview of the project and what we're trying to fix and to try to improve for the community. So, Commissioner Milton, did you want to say anything else?
So Mr. Newsom, I know you've had some trouble with that curve, a lot of trouble. Most recently, like last week, I think it was, 2 weeks ago. So what we're thinking about now in the interim, while we're completing this improvement, is to put a flashing light, 2 flashing lights there, and a sign, you said?
Yeah, so I drove it. I came early today because I wanted to drive it. And we think that, there's room that they make the solar-powered flashing beacons now that we can put on top of the advanced warning curve signs. That's going to raise awareness. A few of the chevrons look like, I don't know if it was from the accidents or whatnot, are down. So we'll work with Public Works to make sure that those get reinstalled. And then I also noticed that the shoulders have grown over onto the edge line striping. So we're going to come out, we'll get those clipped back and then re-stripe through the curve. We can even do some enhanced high-vis striping to, most of the accidents have been during the day, but that doesn't mean they couldn't occur at night. So if we did some sort of high visibility striping in the interim before we get to the project, that will add some additional awareness that you're about to enter a curve and drive through it. So, yeah.
Well, that's just in the interim until we get to that part for fixing the
Well, I tell you what, like I said, I want to make the syntax signal, and I got a bill right here for $8,300 to have my gate fixed. I am out $15,000. And that's why I want to make this impact statement, because the way the thing is being done, there's nothing being done.
And your property taxes going up too.
Exactly.
Property taxes are what you get for them.
I have a question. I have a question.
Let's start, I'll work our way back if that's okay. Yeah.
Who has the question?
Speaking on that roundabout, that's not even gonna work because they already have accidents with the flashing light and the stop signs, it really don't work. You'd rather have a traffic light instead of the roundabout because that's confusing. It's still not gonna work. It's not, that roundabout definitely is not gonna work.
No, it's not.
It's not.
Well, there was an accident. The car was on top of the cross.
I'll try to, we've gotten a lot, this is probably the 3rd location we proposed a roundabout throughout the county. We've gotten a lot of pushback for the change, but the most recent one that we were able to install was at Jasmine on Lansing Avenue, LaRoche Avenue, Jasmine and LaRoche. And we heard similar concerns that people don't know how to drive through them. It's going to be more dangerous, and the reduction in accidents there is almost nothing. It has dropped it significantly. So, and the reason being is you're reducing the opportunities for those accidents. You're going from 32 points in that intersection where you can have a collision down to 8 points. And in addition, they have to slow down through the roundabout to make their maneuver to where they're going to go.
Okay.
So when you look at a traffic signal, there are specific warrants that have to be met, and the warrants were not met at this location. And even if they were, when you do an intersection control evaluation, a roundabout would have been ranked higher than the traffic signal because they're safer. There's 8 warrants in the manual, and it's 1 hour delay, 4 hour delay, 8 hour delay, and the issue is you just don't have the volume of traffic on the side streets delayed because of the volume of traffic on Chatham and ACL Boulevard. That's the biggest issue. It's a delay issue.
Okay, I'd like to know, when was the county incorporated from, well, the street is Lane Avenue. Is that considered from Lane Avenue on down to Brandlewood Drive and past to Garrard Avenue, which turns into Garrard Avenue? Is that considered the county also now? Because
Yes, ma'am.
when I built my home, it was the city.
No,
So now everything is the county.
Garrard down Lane
From-
Avenue to Gamble is in unincorporated Chatham County.
No, because the city was, patrolling there. Okay. I also wanted to know, this project that's being done, is that the reason why our property taxes are going up? We're actually paying for this when, like you said, the streets are raggedy. You've got tractor trailer trucks and everything else coming through there, knocking your mailboxes down and everything. Public transportation shouldn't even be coming down that street.
So this 80% of the funds that we are using right now are federal funds. None of your property taxes are being used. The combination of the federal funds from the federal highway and the SPLOST dollars are what are paying for these improvements right now.
Sure went up and we got, we're being.
Your property value has gone up.
But-
If your property value goes up, your taxes go up.
Okay.
And that's because your property is worth more now.
Well, I tell you what, when they get through shopping, I have a driveway, I have 4 vehicles, okay? I won't be able to fit but 2 vehicles in my driveway. Where we supposed to park? Cause if need be, I'm parking on the walkway, which they said we were supposed to have. When I built my home, we were supposed to have a walkway. So now 22 years later, here, this new project is coming up.
The reason this project is coming up in this form is there's been a push to do what's called complete streets. And that's to design your streets so that they're not just accommodating vehicles, they're accommodating all road users, everybody.
Everything be coming through there, you
Well-
know, and you hit bam.
No.
And then what the county would do is come out and pack your little hole in front of your house and keep going. And we gotta back out on all kind of bumpy stuff.
Yes, and we recognize the condition of Garrard is bad. That's part of the project, is to rebuild and improve the road and the condition of it.
It is.
Yes, we do supposed to park it in the street
Where are they parking now?
in my driveway. And
So what?
my driveway is 2 cars, so where they gonna park now?
That's right.
Where they gonna park now?
Mine's gonna park on the street.
For what it's worth, I did the roundabout on La Roche today, and it worked pretty well. I mean, it looked good for what that's worth. But my question or my concern is, the cars that go up and down, and the trucks and everything else on both sides of Garrard are speeding. They speed. I mean, it's like we really believe that the car dealers send them to Garrard and say, try out your car. I mean, that's what we think. But we need speed bumps. If you want to stop accidents, we need speed bumps.
pulled the data, and you were right. There is speeding that happens along Garrard. We completely agree with that. Unfortunately, with the traffic that Garrard sees, there's too many cars for speed bumps, and it creates too much of a hazard for vehicles. So we have, with this project, have implemented other traffic calming measures. And so that's where the center chicanes come in to help slow people down. We've got curb and gutter that's going to help to slow people down. And just creating this system that looks like a neighborhood street so that people recognize that they're in a residential area when they're coming through Garrard, to help impact speeding and to slow people down to what should be a neighborhood speed limit.
Folks, everybody's gonna have a chance, but let's work around so everybody can get their questions.
My question is, when the project takes place, where's the water gonna fall? Because right now, we already have a problem with the water from the road falling on the properties near the road.
Improving the drainage is a part of the project. Adding the sidewalks and the trail, the majority of the ditches will then be piped. One of the additional things is some of the drainage on this side of the project comes down across Gamble Road. We're going to improve the pipes crossing in that get into this canal. So we are taking into account drainage, and we're making improvements where we can as a part of the project.
Why don't you ask the county engineer that bought the property 15 years ago and they haven't touched it since?
So who's gonna maintain those ditches that's not being maintained now, that's overflow?
Right.
Public Works, our Public Works Department is responsible for the ditches.
They don't do it now. You can.
Ditches. If the residents try to cut the ditches, then we're told that we can be fined because we shouldn't have be cutting the ditches. So we have a problem.
I'm not the county attorney, but I can tell you with certainty you're not going to get fined for cutting the grass in your ditches.
We want Public Works to do their job.
The county manager's making a note right now, and you will probably see crews out here next week looking at this.
Yeah, this gentleman was talking about the ditches, water runoff of ditches. Really, the houses on Garrard Avenue from Brandonwood Drive back wasn't supposed to be there. The original developer was Kerry Shaw. When he went to build those houses, and I can tell you I was one of the first out there, me and Rose Green, she's deceased now, and they wouldn't let him build on Garrard. So he had caught hell, the devil was selling the lots, so he turned around and filed bankruptcy. Chatham Home Builders got the lots. They put the houses there, and the houses, if you come from Garrard Ave, from Brandonwood Drive back, the houses are offline. If you come to Glen Oaks, my house was the first one in Brandonwood off of Glen Oaks. Chatham came in and built a house 30 foot in front of me. It was illegal, all illegal. So as far as the ditches is concerned, those houses didn't have no right to be there in the beginning. They didn't have no right to be there. Now that's before y'all time. I moved in Brandonwood in '86. And I was there for 3 months. Person of matter. I'm telling the truth. And this lady right hand who said about Lane Avenue, that was a part of the city.
Thank you. Thank you. I know it was.
In other words, in this county, in Chatham County, what I told the state representative, our Metropolitan Planning Commission should be voted on like our people out the districts, like her. Because I knew the time when the man didn't even know where the place was at he was voting on. And I knew 3 people on the Metropolitan Planning Commission, they voted and don't even know where the place is at.
Hi there. So, I moved onto Garrard Avenue roughly 4 months ago, and I am currently on the bend that's over there. I was the one that witnessed the most recent accident that happened over there. And just from my speculations, it wasn't because the lane was too narrow. It was more of a lack of attention, suggesting that they were maybe texting and driving. And I also know that with widening a road, even around a bend, that increases your confidence about going around that corner. So people that don't live on this road will get a false sense of confidence and be driving quicker through that bend and also through the straightaway. And on that, with the sidewalk and the shared path, is that for pedestrians and cyclists?
Correct.
Then why are we putting in a sidewalk?
So you have pedestrian facilities on both sides of the road. There's an option.
Okay, all right.
I have a question.
Hold on just a second. Just a second. Do you have a time frame? She was asking about the time frame.
So we just hit a milestone. The concept report for the project was approved. That allows us to begin preliminary design. After preliminary design, we have to get right-of-way plans. That process, once we have right-of-way plans, that's when you'll start seeing some county folks come out and negotiate and reach out to you to start talking about getting the right-of-way and the easements we need for the project. But on the current schedule, we're expecting maybe late 2025, early 2026 for construction to start. We'll come back.
Yes, my question is concerned about the curve again. I question this committee, have y'all thought about seriously maybe put some speed breakers around that curve? That would slow your traffic down, as well as have y'all even thought about considering maybe run a survey with speed breakers coming around that curve, other than whatever the plans that y'all may have now at the present time?
So we have, the county has a traffic calming policy, and it's really geared toward residential streets that are 25 miles per hour, in some cases 30. Right now, Garrard is classified based on the volume as a major collector, and it's got a 35 mile per hour speed limit. You can't put speed bumps on a road that has a 35 mile per hour speed limit.
So when you just arbitrarily drop a speed limit, people don't follow it, unfortunately. And so that's going to create a more dangerous atmosphere for you all coming out of your driveway who are wanting to go the speed limit, and then the other drivers who are coming through here not wanting to obey the speed limit. So the way we set the speed limit is so that it's safe and you guys know what to expect as people who live here and coming onto the roadway. And so part of this is to enact traffic calming to get people to hit that 35 and go that speed limit. But to just arbitrarily lower the speed limit creates a dangerous situation for everyone.
You stand out there and I really
So was the traffic analysis completed for that? And what were the findings?
What's your specific? We had too much traffic, so they could have put them down. That's what he said earlier. But if we wouldn't have too much traffic, if you put the speed bumps there, they wouldn't come down our road. That's no longer easier. If you put speed tables in and drop the limit to 25, then people are gonna slow down. They don't wanna break their tires.
Aside from those speed bumps and everything else that we have going on along the curve, I live on Pine where it meets Garrard, so I'm on that corner along with this gentleman over here. And the last accident that he's talking about where somebody lost their life because their car flipped, it took out a gas line. Are they going to bury that gas line meter, whatever is above the ground?
So,
what is the plan for that?
At this time, Atlanta AGL has plans to move that station further up Garrard, closer to 17. So in this area where it veers off the lane, so they plan on moving it up in that direction.
Completely? Like it's going to be gone?
Yes.
Everything where you're talking about would be underground.
Yes.
The above ground part would be out of that
They
area.
had to evacuate the area because
Are y'all planning on filling that area that you're gonna bury the gas line? Are you gonna put ditches in there as well for drainage?
Are you burying gas lines?
Yeah.
Yeah, most of it's gonna be handled by new storm pipes.
And the existing holes or ditches or some type of damage that's been done in the past, that's all gonna be filled in and made
Yes.
beautiful? Okay.
Yes, that'll be,
Great.
when you look at the typical sections, in a lot of those areas, that's where the sidewalk or the trail would be, the shared use path.
All right. Next person over here? No?
Has there been any discussion about putting a traffic light coming out of the Planet Fitness parking lot? Right there on, I know, but you're coming, but still, and I don't know if this is the big area, but again, that's 17. And I don't know if this might not apply to everyone, but again, there is not a traffic light, and there have been accidents there.
That area is in the city of Savannah, and that 17 is owned by GDOT, but we'll make a note and we will ask them to consider and look at that. Okay.
I have a lot of questions. If you're not willing to consider putting speed bumps, which I really do think it would detract people from coming down the road if the speed bumps are there, I invite you to come between 7 and 8:30 a.m. any morning too, when people are late to work and they're literally going between 50 and 80 miles an hour. And I'm trying to pull out of my driveway. It's unsafe, and my 2 children who are learning to drive, it's really unsafe for them. So if you're not willing to do that, what about 3-way stops at all of these road sections like Wildwood and Pine? I mean, 3-way stops were they considered to be put there? We live here, so I think we all live on Garrard, and we don't mind the speed limit being 25. We don't need it to be 30 or 35, okay? So I understand I hear what you're saying, I don't understand it. And why are we doing a pull-off for a bus if we don't do it on Abercorn where people are traveling at 55 and 60 miles an hour? I understand you're trying to say you're making complete roads. I have a lot of questions. I'm going to throw them all at you. How are you going to maintain all of this when we can't even maintain what we've got? We have these really narrow roads. And I know it's not you, but these are honest questions that I have. Maintaining more, than what we are doing now. Parking, I have that same concern for a lot of our residents. It won't affect me, but it's going to affect so many of them. So how is that not going to cause problems when we have more cars parked on the road and we're adding more traffic because we're widening the road? And then what is that going to mean for the cat buses? Because we do have the issue where they're coming down, their window, the mirrors on the side are extending past the median or the middle of the road. So that's going to be another issue to look at when people are parking their trucks there. Are we supposed to have semis coming down our road? Is there a rule for that? And then on, sorry? No, if you forget something, restate them. We have dead trees right here, just at where you're talking about the roundabout. I've called the county, I've called the city for the past year, and they promised me those trees aren't dead, but they haven't had leaves for over a year.
You're talking about the median on Chatham
Crepe
Parkway.
myrtles and.
So I can answer that. We just hired a new arborist. He's been out here numerous times. He's monitoring them to see if they survive or not, and if they don't, then we'll come up with a replanting plan.
Does he want pictures? I mean, I know
No,
that's
he's
really.
been out-
I have
he's been
pictures
on
from the
site.
past year. Like, no, that's.
He's a professional. He knows trees.
Okay.
He was not involved in the cause of the trees dying. He's evaluated.
No, our county is supposed to maintain those ditches. They're responsible for those trees dying because someone came out and sprayed wrong. That's how they died. They mixed wrong something. Property allowance acquisition. If you want to touch on that, what's your plan? I know you said 2024, but every pecan tree that I can't replace that you're going to want to take down to take my land. And also, how close can this walkway, path, road be to my front door? Because if you take everything that you're wanting,
and I want to move my parents into the house that I just bought too, I've bought additional properties, it's unsafe for them. And we've got to consider how close we're putting these people to our front door.
Adding to her question about the semis and stuff, now with this Rockingham Farms project that may be happening, you guys should all go to the Savannah City Council meeting tomorrow to vote yes or no on that meeting for Rockingham Farms. This is supposed to be an emergency access on Garrard and all that.
They're not supposed to have any access on Garrard.
Oh,
Right? The one for tomorrow?
Yeah.
November 20th, I believe.
Oh, thank you.
When that project was permitted, their only access was to be Veterans Parkway. They were not to have access to Buckhalter or Garrard Ave.
And I think now their emergency access, if they need it, is supposed to be Buckhalter and Garrard.
They're not supposed to have
But that's not-
any access at all.
Okay.
I think that when you say emergency, that's fire trucks or ambulances.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, they may have that. I don't. We weren't involved in the design, but
Savannah Recycles comes down this way too. Like, I live on Pine, I see them all the time, they come through. And why can't we add speed bumps on Pine, Wildwood, Lane, all of those, like.
so we, over the last 2 years, have actually gotten requests from 2 different residents, one on Wildwood and one on Pine Drive, and we evaluated to see if it was warranted, and the speeding did not meet the threshold to come out and implement traffic calming measures. We have to look, we get these requests, we get these requests from all over the county, and we have a certain amount of money that if we went and did this we wouldn't have money to do anything else. We have to evaluate and make sure that it's warranted in the locations that we do those things.
My question is there any way to keep the semis off of Garrard Avenue? Because the semis are what's really messing up our roads. They are causing the potholes and everything. So is there a way to reroute them to keep them out of our residential areas?
Short of someone driving it to their home because that's their choice of business, I don't know why anybody would be driving a semi. I'm not saying they don't. I'm not saying they don't. But
there was a driving school that was practicing, just so you know.
yeah, Commissioner Milton took care of that. The other thing I'll offer is the roundabout. Most truckers, unless it's designed properly for them specifically, where they've done it like on the port, they don't prefer to drive around roundabouts. So I think that's going to act as a deterrent for some of the truck traffic out there.
I wanted to know, had y'all looked at the lighting? It's very dark in the area.
Yes, lighting has been looked at, and as a part of this project, we do have lighting throughout Garrard, and additional lighting at the roundabout.
Are we supposed to be paying for that since we got surveyed? Are we paying for the lights now? I'm serious. We got a survey that said if we put lights on our side, residents had to pay for it.
So
And we said,
that was likely that would. You want me to answer the light? So we're in the process of updating the street lighting ordinance. Right now, in order for a neighborhood to get street lights, the way then it's outdated, and we recognize that. That's why we're updating it. Is you have to get a majority of residents in that area to create what's called a street lighting district, and then it would be added to your tax bill. We're looking to change that so that it's paid out of the M&O fund, and it's not everybody in the county pays for street lights because everybody in the county uses the roads and the street lights. So that's something we're working on. So by the time this is built, that ordinance will be updated. And you won't have.
we approved enough.
Oh, sorry. Do I need to stand there? Okay. Well, I have a couple quick questions and a couple of statements. My first question is, this is the 4th meeting, but this is the first one my husband and I have heard about, and we actually heard about it through a neighbor, and I've heard that from a lot of other people. So how are you guys notifying, and actually my main question is, I don't know that it would matter, because was the first meeting, was this ever like a vote for, or was it always just informational, this is what we're doing?
We had 2 stakeholder meetings where we identified stakeholders in the project, business owners, the churches, and so we reached out to them directly for the first two. The third meeting was a public meeting. We had yard signs up along Garrard. We had the message boards up along Garrard.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, that's the past. My question is, was this? Sorry, guys.
All right.
It was a QR
Okay,
code.
make sure-
Listen, it was a postcard that you guys sent to residents.
Okay,
And you had
that's-
to be aware of how to scan a QR.
Okay.
And everyone who gets a QR throws it away. That's how it was presented. That's how.
I have a couple more questions. So but my main question in that was this always this is what we're doing and it's just informative, or was this ever the people that live here that own property, that are paying a mortgage, that are paying property taxes, that are paying fire bill taxes, you guys are going to get a say in it? Was this always just informative?
No, the point of the meeting, the previous meetings, and even this one, I mean, we're still in the design process. We're still taking comments on this project. Let us know what you want. We have comment cards here, but we always accepted comments on this project to know what the residents who live here want their area to look like. And in that original comment response period, and it was even on the website for a period of time, we received positive support for this project.
Okay, so if I can just make a couple quick statements and maybe follow up with a question. I'm just a very black and white person, very objective, and so for me, obviously this is the last meeting, so I might say some stuff you guys have already covered, but it just seems like there's no empirical objective data to show why what you're saying, and this isn't the packet you guys gave is not very specific, but just some comments, just the reasons why you guys are doing what you're doing. I just don't see any empirical objective data. You haven't said, hey, we polled everybody, and out of the 200 people that live on Garrard, excuse my New York accent, I know it's Garrard, 150 of you said you wanted a sidewalk, you wanted a bike trail, you wanted to lose 15 feet of your property. I haven't seen any of that objective data. Maybe it's out there and I'm just not privy to it.
If you come up after, we'll get your email address.
You will show me.
And I don't have it here.
Oh.
We have comment response from the PIOH. You do a comment response letter and provide the results and all the information we collected, and I'd be happy to
I appreciate that, and I will definitely get that from you. I think it's sad, though, that a lot of us probably didn't get to do that because we know about the meetings. So I'm just going to say a couple quick statements, if that's all right. Just one thing, I don't know your name, but you brought up some really good points, and something that that we've all have expressed tonight is that people speed. We get woken up at 2 o'clock in the morning, from speeding bikes, motorcycles, cars, whatnot. And so you guys have, I think, acknowledged that is a fact, and that there's really not much you can do because if you can't put speed bumps, you can't lower the speed limit. So then the next logical thing would be to put a sidewalk where we can walk our children down it with car speed. And that just doesn't make sense to me. So, or put a cyclist on it. Me personally, I mean, I don't cycle in town anymore because I almost got run over by a car on a road with a bicycle lane. It's just dangerous, but especially down a road where they're speeding. So that's just one statement.
We don't have a bicycle lane. You aren't going to be cycling in the lane with traffic. We have a separated shared use path.
So there'll be a barrier to stop the car from.
There'll be a grass shoulder about 4.5 feet wide to separate you from traffic.
No. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna make a couple quick points, and then I will give somebody else the mic. Okay, let's see. You guys said in this pamphlet that I just read that Garrard is a major urban connector road from Chatham Parkway to Gamble, which is why it's so important that pedestrians have a safe space to walk and bike. If that is true, and that is why we're adding, because I have no problem with the 2 feet on each driving lane. That's 4 feet. It's the other 26 feet that are very concerning. And you're saying the reason for that is we want people who are, it's a connector, so connecting two things, coming from Chatham Parkway, pedestrians on foot or on bicycle need a safe space to get to Gamble. So are we then going to put a sidewalk and a bike path on Chatham Parkway? Because how are they going to safely connect from a parkway that people should not be bicycling on or walking on to Gamble?
We can't just come and do bike paths everywhere across the county, but we catch it in these locations where we have projects, and then once those areas are done, we look for opportunities to continue it. So the next logical one would be continue something down Garrard over to Buckhalter to 17 where there are bike lanes.
I'm just reading. I'm not trying to cut you off. And I don't know if you wrote this or somebody else wrote it, but I mean the direct it's like literally just what it says, that it's a connector road, and that over here, Garrard Avenue, located in Chatham County, the 2-lane urban major connector, whatever, from Chatham Parkway to Gamble. So all I'm saying is, I don't understand where these people are coming from that need to bike and walk on Garrard. I would like, okay, this brings my next point. I find it very disheartening and very sad to me that if you look at the room here and the average age, the people that live on Jordan, I can't say this for myself, have built their houses here. They have either built, I know our neighbors built their houses here, brand new, in 1999. People who have lived here for 20 to 50 years are now being told, we want to take 15 feet of your property, with the caveat of, well, the city owns 15 feet from the road, so we're not really taking 15 feet. But then you have to and this is my next question, is if you take 15 feet of said property, put a road there, a sidewalk, whatever you want to call it, now the city owns that 15, it's a new line, right? Now they own the next 15 feet? No. So it'll just be an unwritten that Garrard Avenue is no longer, because I mean, it's not like it's like a city, a code that's like how is it legal that you guys can take 15 feet of someone's property
The
without them
right-of-way
saying
width
yes?
is set. It's a set right-of-way width. If you want to find out what it is, we can get that information for you. But it's not rolling. It's not this distance from the road. It's a set right-of-way width.
Okay, so that I'm sorry, she's asking me what I would want. I guess what I would have wanted was, number one, to have been informed, would have been from the beginning, and to have a voice. And I know you say that was available, but I didn't think we had that. I mean, I didn't have the opportunity until now. And number two, I'm gonna let my husband say something real quick and we'll pass it on, but my husband, he won't say this, but he's a combat wounded war veteran. He got blown up in Iraq. He served for 13 years, almost lost his legs, and saw 5 of his guys die. We moved from South Florida to Savannah because I didn't want to move too far away from my family, but he was having huge mental breakdowns. It was really, really hard. It was the hardest thing I've ever been through. And it was just too overpopulated. You know, he's got PTSD, he's got traumatic brain injury. He doesn't do well around a lot of city traffic noise and all that. So we moved on Garrard. It's been nothing. Our neighbors are godsend to us. We couldn't live in a cul-de-sac in a neighborhood. It's too much for him. He's too paranoid. So now we're being told that there's going to be a sidewalk or a bike lane within feet from our front door. That for us, because I can't speak for anybody else, that kind of traffic right there in our front door is going to be monumental change. That's where our living room is. That's where we spend most of our time. Our bedroom's there. I can't even put into words what that's going to do to his mental health. So it is concerning to us personally as a personal thing that not everybody else, may go through. But it is. I will hand this in, and I wish I would have been able to speak earlier. Thank you.
I just have a couple questions about the width of your shared use path is almost as wide as the road is now. I mean, you got a 9-foot road wide, and now you've got 8 feet of shared use path. That's another whole lane. I mean, that's a little excessive, I would think. But
the minimum to be considered a shared use path is 8 feet. Most are 10 feet, but we're trying to. We just got through the concept, and we're trying to do things as we get through design to tighten up and limit how much property is impacted as a part of the project. So that's the process we're going through right now. And thank you for your service. I appreciate it.
Can they stand up when they get the mic, please?
I have a question. The maps are very confusing. And the papers we get on how much of our property that you're actually going to be taking on the east side, west side, or whatever, do you have that definite amount that would show us exactly how far you're going to be coming in on our property?
We do not. Everything to this point, including these, are concept drawings. Now that we got the concept report approved, we're moving into preliminary engineering with starting to set those limits. Before we come, we're going to send an individual out to talk to you, to show you exactly with individual maps of your property. This is what the impact will be. This is what we need to build this project. Then you can decide if you want to sell it or not. I mean, that's the process. But the short answer is no. We don't have that information.
We are next to the Veterans Parkway that comes over, and that is a lot narrower in there. So if you were doing a sidewalk or a walkway or whatever through there, you would probably have to change it under there, would you not? Okay, we have, right there at Veterans Parkway, we have trash thrown out all the time in front of our house and under there. My husband has picked up trash, we've taken trash off. Of course, we've called and tried to get someone, but they throw out tires. We used to pick up tires and take them. Well, the dump don't take them anymore, so you can't find anybody that'll take them. And so, you know, you've got to have, like if there's a bike trail or a sidewalk, they're gonna be jumping tires, trash, and everything else just to get down there. So something needs to be done about taking care of the area. After the county does a lot of their work, and we know over by us with the veterans, it took me years, my husband, he actually cut the grass, weed eated the road that is the lane for the county because they couldn't understand it was their property. And it took, my husband did it for 20 years, and I finally made him quit, and I kept on in about 2 years. I finally got an engineer that came out and realized it was their property. So now they come by, I've already called 3 times since July to come in and cut that grass, because there's rats, snakes, everything else, and, you know, it's right there in our house. And like I said, I called 3 times, and what they did was they came out and cut a little path next to the overpass, but left all the weeds, grass, the brush, everything next to our home, which is still county. So, you know, even if you get them out there, they don't do the job thoroughly and completely like they should. So, you know, all that needs to be addressed too. It's taking care of what you are going in and trying to do. No, thank you.
But my question, I guess, is directed to the county manager up there. I don't live on Garrard. I live on Wildwood at Gamble Road. I have a ditch that I have to cut, and I don't need to be cutting it. But the county will not cut it. They'll just cut it on the side that can that the mowers can get down. And I built my house there 8 years ago, and I've lived in this area all my life. I lived on Beverly Street, so I'm familiar with here. I moved there, built that house 8 years ago. Never have they come and edged the curbing. Now, my question for these people on Garrard, now you're going to have a sidewalk, so now they're going to have to edge both sides of the sidewalk and the curb. These people are old. Who's going to do that? Is the county going to do it? I say no.
Well, what I want to do is get the public works director out here and meet with you, show them what, you know, what needs to be done, and they'll get it done.
And what, we have to call you every time we need that done?
No, that's why I want to meet with, get you to meet with them so we can.
I even called the manager, the engineers out there, and was going to pay to cover my ditch up so I didn't have to, so I can ride the lawnmower over it. And they wanted $25,000 to do it. And I'm like, that don't make no sense. And furthermore, you say y'all going to drain the ditches down to go to that ditch. Gamble Road floods every time it rains down there where the ditch is at. So you might need to work back that way and go the other way.
I just have one question because everybody asks this about the parking on Garrard. I'm lucky that I'm on the corner where I have my guests come, they park on the side right there. You cannot park on Garrard, and if y'all gonna put, that even gonna make it less. So every time we say parking, nobody give a direct answer what they're gonna do about the parking, because everybody can't park on the side streets when they have guests, parties or whatever, because there's nowhere. I have 2 driveways. I park on that side, park over there. And I have guests, I have to tell them park on the street, and then that causes congestion coming up to that stop sign. which is gonna be a hazard to somebody else. Somebody gonna get clipped coming around because they can't see around, it's on the curve. So, if we gonna cut back that way on Garrard, on the front of our property, where the cost gonna go?
We've heard that several, so that's one of the benefits of being here. That's something we will investigate as we move further into this, to see how we can address parking for those that may be losing some up in front of Garrard Avenue. Because we certainly don't want you parking on Garrard Avenue.
Some people that live on Garrard don't have no choice. I have a choice, that's what I'm saying, because it's Garrard or nothing.
Good evening, everyone. I want to say I was one of the people who was invited to come to the first meeting in August of last year. It was a handful of people on Garrard Avenue who were asked to come. Okay. That's what I think was the biggest mistake, because everybody, they wanted our input as to what we wanted. That's what I was told the meeting was about, to find out what we wanted. But when you only ask a handful of people to show up, you're only going to get the opinions of a handful of people. I think everybody in this room here should have been to that first meeting so that you could have heard what everybody wants.
The first two meetings were for stakeholders.
Okay, I live on Garrard and Brandlewood. You mean to tell me all these people on Garrard Avenue are not stakeholders?
They were invited to the third meeting.
Wait, okay, hold on, wait, okay, let me say this. Okay, the first meeting, I was told, I guess I'm a stakeholder because I do live on the corner of Garrard and Brandlewood, but then that would make everybody on Garrard Avenue stakeholders in this. So I would think all of the people who lived on Garrard would have been invited. The second meeting, I think, was for business owners or something. At the third meeting, everybody was invited because you got the postcard with a little QR code or something. There were some signs that were put out. But what was presented then was the plan. So there was no input from the people who lived out here, just a handful of us. I said I wanted the road widened because that cat bus makes me nervous when I'm driving on the road with it. Would I like to see a sidewalk too? Sure. But I'm looking at this little picture here, and they're talking about the pull-off for the bus. They're literally going to be in my yard. By the time they take for the road widening, the sidewalk, and the bus, they will be in my backyard. So I do have issues with this. I still would like to see the road widened a little bit because, again, with the cat bus and the school buses, there's problems. So everybody in this room should have been invited to the first meeting, and we would not be here right now. Problems I have with some of the stuff that the county is saying, you've got all these people who live out here who are affected by the traffic on that road saying we need speed bumps. Yeah. And you're telling us, well, according to the county study, you do not merit one. Live out here. I've had a dog killed on this road by somebody speeding. I've had to snatch my children back from the road from people speeding down Garrard Avenue. And to say that you can't even put a speed bump around that curve, that makes no sense to me. We live here.
There's kids in this area.
Exactly. Everybody's not old. I'm getting there, but I'm not there yet. There are kids who live out here. So I just don't understand how you're telling us, because of the county rules, you can't put a speed bump. When people fly around that curve, I've seen trucks, I swear, go down this road at 80 miles an hour. And I'm just like, where are they going? It might calm the traffic at that circle, but these people flying down Garrard Avenue are going to fly till they get to the traffic circle. It is not going to slow them down. So I'm like, do you really want to know what we want? I mean, honestly, do you really want to know what we want?
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Ms. Washington. Apparently there are some cars blocking people in the parking lot. If you could please address that, if you're blocking cars in so people can leave. I'm so sorry, Ms. Washington.
So my question is, do you really want to know what we want, or do you just want to come and tell us what you're going to give us? There you go.
So these plans are still conceptual. We are not telling anybody. This is a concept. We are showing it to you. We are here to get your feedback and your comments.
The other thing I'll say, typically we don't even do the stakeholder meetings up front. That's not, we were trying to get, and it, because we have to have something to present to show what could be done or talk about. So that, I'm just telling you, but we thought on this one, we would hold those up front, get initial feedback so we could start something to have a public meeting with everyone, and that's the process.
To know what the people want in their neighborhood.
That's what you call the third meeting, that's what that meeting was about.
You presented to them something that you would come up with.
We presented something that they could talk about and give us comments and feedback on.
Why couldn't they have done that from the very beginning?
We could have sat out here with nothing to present and come here and listen to y'all and tried to figure out something out of that. We have a baseline that we have to look at for plans and stuff, and then have something to present to you so we can talk. That's why we're still, this is not a done deal. If y'all don't want it, tell us. Tell us what changes. That's what we're here.
Give it to us in writing, please. If you can fill out those comment cards so that we can have the data to support it, that would be the best thing for us.
I will say this, at the public information open house we had, there were more in favor of the project than not in favor. At the first meeting that we had here, there were still more in favor that weren't in favor. If that has flipped or changed, the comment cards are in the back. You can provide your comments and we can see what the results are.
Excuse me, I have a significant point that impacted me. I live on Garrard Avenue, and the road, the way that it is now, I came home from work, a car was in my driveway, in my house. So you can imagine taking away some of my property to where it is now to be in my front door. That car was embedded in my house on Garrard Avenue. Had to call a record. So I'm personally affected by it, afraid of it, because if it happened then, what's going to happen when you widen the road? So you're talking about being in my front door, closer than what it is. So I was impacted. Good thing no one was home when it happened. They couldn't leave the scene of the accident because they were embedded in my house. So my house was open, had to get the insurance, afraid to stay in my house, to move out, thinking someone's going to come in, and I have a totally all brick house.
That's right. The vehicle travel lanes will not be any closer to your house.
It can't. You just saying you're taking away some of the property, so that would be closer to my door.
So the property impacts are primarily for drainage and some of the sidewalk and shared use path. The travel lanes are staying where they are.
So
that's still close.
That's still close my house.
So, excuse me, y'all.
That happened to me, so I'm terrified by it.
Okay, so what would you like to see happen?
I don't mind it being widened, but taking away as much land or property that you.
They have not determined how much that
in the last meeting that I went to, that was at the Liberty City Center that you all had, that was the first time me hearing about the meeting, so that's why I attended the meeting, because I was aware of it then. So if it happened then, what can cause it to happen now? And someone could have been walking up to my driveway, walking up to my home in a car, and it caused an impact of life. So my thing is, that's a dangerous.
So would you like to see nothing happen?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay. Okay, I think that's what it sounds like. Sounds like y'all don't want anything. Sounds like y'all don't want anything. That's what it sounds like. Sounds like y'all don't want anything. Okay, so.
That's taken away from me.
Yeah, there's several things. We're speaking about the Coast Guard that come out to start with. One, the map on there wasn't big enough for them to get any idea what was going to be going on. Another thing, one of the contact phone numbers, was a guy that lives in Arkansas.
Where, on what?
And he had, in the postcard that was sent out, and he said he had about 50 calls from people here. So you get Elizabeth phoned him up, and he lives in Arkansas. You didn't even have the right phone number in the postcard. And as for the speeding, widening the road is going to make the speeding worse. Everybody knows that. You speak to policemen, And they laugh when you say that's what you've been told, that it's going to slow them down. They come down here, they overtake. If you're going speed limit, they'll overtake you on double yellow lines.
Yes, come around.
We nearly get hit on
But
Saturday.
there's nothing, there is no engineering solution to
I know.
someone not following the law and driving it. That's a personal choice they're making. There are some things we can fix, and there are some we
I'm not
cannot.
asking you
That's
to
an
fix
enforcement issue.
it. You need the police to come out and issue tickets, or you need to put speed bumps. These people are not going to pay any attention to speed limits. They're coming down there at 60, 70 mile an hour.
And if you see a speed bump and you total your car on a speed bump, that's your own fault. That's right.
I mean, I put this car there that we're talking about. If your bike path was in place around there and somebody's coming round there when that car went off, that could be a whole family wiped out. It's not safe. It's not going to be safe going on the footpaths or the bike path. The speed that traffic goes here. You widen the road, they're going to go faster. You're going to have more traffic, more bigger traffic. It's just, none of us is going to work. Plus the people that...
So does anybody want us to do anything except put speed bumps?
Speed bumps and lights.
Okay, so that's less expensive. That's less expensive. So, y'all ride the potholes and...
$7 million. How much is, speed bumps gonna cost?
We haven't even looked at that yet.
And they gonna cost $7 million?
No, I can tell you it's certainly be less than $7 million.
Good evening. My name's Roy Newton. I reside at 4613 Garrard Avenue on a very dangerous and extensive curve. There has been a number of wrecks in my front yard, destroying property that I then have to repair at my expense. In March of 2023, a car took the curve at a high rate of speed, flipped over, landed on the gas line, and the area had to be evacuated. The driver died in the crash in my front yard, and 6 families had to be evacuated. I have damage happen at least once a month. One driver lost control of the curve and drove into my bedroom of my house. Recently, in September, a driver lost control on the curve, drove through my yard, destroying my gate controls as well as my mailbox again and tearing up my yard. He then drove away. The estimate from Coastal to fix the gate, which the insurance company gave me a letter of rejection they would not pay, was $8,300 plus the electric bill coming out, and that will be coming out of my pocket. As I said, I have a denial letter from the insurance company. Immediate action needs to be taken to correct the problems with the curve. I've reached out to many people about the problem, but to no avail. That's when I reached out to WSAV, who did a story on the problem. But the county has still done nothing to remedy the situation. As one person in engineering said, they are retiring soon and they're marking time till then. Most of the people like the neighborhood the way it is. As far as adding bike lanes and sidewalks, there are not enough people that are going to use them to justify the cost. Spend the money fixing the curve and keeping the neighborhood safe from the speeders driving through using Garrard as a cut through to avoid traffic on a Geechee Road. Another waste of taxpayers' money is the rarely used transit system. My tax dollars go to support empty buses. I am quite sure the county can find better use of the money. The county is supposed to work for the people, not against the people that pay them. I am strongly opposed to this project as a whole. Leave our neighborhood as it is and listen to the people who live here, the people you're supposed to be serving. It would be my guess that there are plans to annex this area into the city of Savannah, going through Atlanta. If that happens, we will be paying more taxes. A number of my neighbors have expressed the interest in taking this project to court and getting an injunction. If you are interested in joining this legal action, see me after the meeting. I'll be glad to discuss it with you.
All right, so my question is two-pronged. I live on the side of Garrard Avenue. By the time people turn onto the road, by the time they get to my house, they're going full speed. They step on it every single day, all day long. So, that being said, a lot of the traffic is generated from what's going on in 17. So at Gamble Road, and then right here, you have the rezoning that's happening over on Buckhalter, where they're talking about putting 1,200 units. What? And they're talking, that meeting's November 20th. Make sure you guys are there. The city is voting on it. Yeah. Well, not on that. That land has already been zoned, but we're talking about the other things. Yes. The other issue we have is over here by Red Gate, talking about doing another 350 units, right? We're talking about that whole apartment complex. So what happens, all of this, I understand you're saying that right now it doesn't warrant it, but in the very near future, we're talking about adding 1,500 units to this area alone, just in this small section of our land. So I understand that right now it doesn't warrant it, but are these, is all of these, I don't know, reports being done with that in mind, that they're expanding and we're exploding? And right now we're already like bursting at the seams, so.
So it's not directly connected. You know, a lot of the studies we did up front were before we knew specifics. But you take the existing traffic volumes and you project them out, what, 20 years? Yeah. So you implement a growth rate, so that assumes there's going to be growth. So that's taken into account when you look at what you're going to do in an area, and you cover it for that 20-year period.
Got it. I guess my concern is this growth is supposed to be happening in the like very extreme near future. Even before this project's even started, people are already talking about building. So if we are dealing with the onset of 17, what's being done on 17 to help alleviate it? Because Gamble, Buckhalter, all of those roads are taking the load from that area. Is that area being improved? Or are we just sort of are we reactionary versus proactive?
So I'll say two things. The areas you're talking about have been annexed by the city of Savannah. So the county only protection is issuing a right-of-way encroachment permit for those driveways in those areas. As a part of that process, we require them to do a traffic study to show that the existing conditions either can handle the traffic and take a baseline study, and then when they come online, what's it going to look like? And they need to mitigate their impacts back to the standard that they weren't there. So if that means additional improvements, we're going to hold them to that and withhold that. But our only control of that is a right-of-way encroachment permit. So that being on Buckhalter. The second thing is Commissioner Milton and her colleagues just approved accepting a study. We have about $500,000 to study SR 25, which is Ogeechee Road, from 516 down to the Ogeechee River. And it's a corridor study to identify short-term and long-term projects to make improvements along. So you'll get some big projects out of that probably won't be done for 10 years, but you'll also identify some quick, short projects that can make significant improvements to the traffic on 17.
Well, the reason why Garrard Ave sees such an influx of traffic is because people are avoiding those hot spots. 17 Chatham Parkway, Gamble, they're turning off and they're zooming through like Pine Drive or Buckhalter, and so that's where a lot of the traffic we see. So, go ahead. Yeah, yes, you're absolutely right. So I feel like this whole discussion is more reactionary versus proactive. If the problems are all on but you're saying that's county versus city.
No. I'm telling you, we don't have control of what gets permitted there. Our only control is the driveways where, unless the other side gets annexed, those roads will still be in Chatham County. And then we won't issue a driveway permit for them until we know what their plan is to mitigate their impacts to the corridor that they need to get from within their development. So, but that's what we can control as a part of that. But when I'm saying, if they annex the other side for whatever reason, and they have both sides of the road, then that portion of the road goes to the city, and the county has no control. They would take everything.
I guess I'm just not. You're talking about driveways. I'm talking about.
I would say their access point for these huge developments.
Okay.
I call it a driveway. It's going to be a main road into this development that's going to have either home, whatever they're going to do, apartments, homes. I don't know.
Okay.
That part where the whole property's in the city of Savannah, but where they tie in, Buckhalter Road is still a county road. They cannot tie into that road without a permit from us, and that.
But I'm still talking about like 17 itself,
Yeah.
how bad the traffic is and how people are coming on our roads to avoid that traffic.
Okay, but that's what the study we're doing on 17. So a separate study that the county's undertaking, Commissioner Milton and her colleagues just approved it, is to look at short-term and long-term improvements, the entire stretch of Ogeechee Road from 516 down to Love Seafood or the Ogeechee River. And we think that'll take 12, 15 months. That's going to flush out short-term and long-term projects that we need to start investing in now to get ahead of it. I mean, with the Hyundai plant, everything is blowing up.
So a moment ago, you made a comment about buying the land. That's the first time I've ever heard of that.
So,
the land that is going. So I wasn't sure if it had to do with eminent domain, or are you going to be offering people money for the land?
Correct.
So does everybody know that in this room?
Well, then I may have, and I apologize if I misspoke, but what happens is, say we need a 10-foot strip of land on the front of your property, and for this project or any other project. What the general process is, we'll finalize the preliminary plan so we know what our impacts are and what we need to build it. Then we'll do an appraisal, and then a review of that appraisal. Once we have that, we'll complete an offer package. Somebody will come out and talk you through it and say, these are your options, this is what we need, this is what the appraisal says it's worth. Then you have the decision to make as, do you want to accept it, do you want to counter offer, do you want, if someone said something about trees, that you're, this is a tree that we planted and we'd love to keep it, can you help me do that? That's something we consider individually as we go through every parcel as we try to acquire it.
Did everybody know that though?
No. Well, I don't know.
So this would really change things. Is that part of this?
Yeah, I misspoke, and I'll own that. So, but that's the general process. We're just not there. We're probably a year from even starting to do that. Is why it wasn't as specific.
It may change.
Fair enough.
And it's already scheduled, so the schedule for acquisition is already posted in black and white on the engineering website. So there's a plan for it. So we all should know. We don't. But if you Google Garrard Avenue Road Project, you'll know.
Can't sell anything. But
all right, sir. This gentleman right here, you engineer, right?
County manager.
County engineer? County manager. Oh, county, we got 15-foot utilities, 15-foot county, right? Okay, you get 15-foot utilities for the water on each side.
You're asking along the road.
Let this lady right here, see her house, got ran into. I was saying, good, the house didn't even have no right being there. Now it's your house here. Now it's your house. That was built after the other people took over from the original development.
But the houses are there, so this is a moot.
Yeah,
don't take the house.
No, well, what I'm trying to say is this simple. You keep sitting down in the office and approving things I'm saying that the Metropolitan Planning Commission should come from the district where the people live at, should be voted on just like the commission. Because you got people who's voting, don't even know where the area is at, they're just voting. Now, yeah, no, but it all has something to do with what we're doing here. You want to widen the road? You know what I say you should do the road? Hey, you got an area right here with some townhouses that they took the water lines and ran across around the wood, the ditches. Well, when it first rainstorm, it flooded out the first two houses. Now, the pipe's sinking. Where the water going? One day you're going to ride down there, you're going to have going to cave in because the water don't come over no more. I mean, widening Garrard Avenue, I don't go along with it. I say let's speed.
Okay, we got one more question over here.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that when she said, do we want anything? And I think that we want something, as you heard. We want that speed. You know, we could send man to the moon to be sure it's a way that we can curb that speed from going through on Garrard. And I think something important was said that, I think one lady said that she was invited to a meeting and all the rest wasn't, but you were saying that a plan had to be made and you present the plan. I think, you know, forthcoming, everybody should be a part of the plan to talk about, because evidently this didn't work, coming up with a plan to talk about plan. So, and I just wanted to know about the ditches on Garrard, because they're not maintained. Will they be, no matter what happens, will the ditches be filled in?
Well, if we proceed with the project, the ditches will be converted to pipes. If we don't proceed with the project or don't do any pedestrian improvements and the ditches can remain, then they won't be filled in. They would just remain.
So if we don't agree with the project, nothing happens on Garrard.
We still have to do roadway.
Let us know what you want.
Yeah. That's the purpose of the comment card. Like, telling us is not as effective as put it in. Then we have quantitative data to say 80% of the people here tonight don't want us to do pedestrian improvements, or don't want us to do this, or don't want us to do that. That's the purpose of this meeting.
But imagine if we had done this in the first place. I mean,
Ms. Washington, you were at our meeting.
I was at one.
And you were unable to make the third.
Right.
Yes.
But I'm saying, if you had gotten all this information in the first place.
So maybe we need to
might
make
have had a whole
we
other
need better
plan.
methods for how we invite people. Maybe that's, I understand that. And we can be better in the future, but we can't retroactively change how we do it.
We hear what you're saying.
One good way
Really?
to find out, get the names and addresses of the county residents, contact the Southside Fire Department. We were paying our fire insurance bills to them. So they know every resident, every name and address. Okay? So that's how you can find out who to contact. Southside Fire Department will just snatch it away from us and say, oh, the county is going to handle it. The county did. They doubled almost the fire amount of your property, and now we're being billed twice a year. And we're not getting anything but speeders and broken up streets. You know, people dying coming around the curve. I wasn't familiar that the county, like I said, the coming around Lane Avenue is now the county. Okay, I had no idea, and I built my house in 2000. So information is not being disseminated to everyone. I guess a pick and choose, you have to be in the certain. I mean, I don't know what the problem is, but I would like to be informed because I will be there. I was in Atlanta taking care of my daughter at the, I guess this is the third meeting, at the second meeting. Okay, so I mean, what's the name from?
Yeah, that's good.
Southside Fire Department.
My question is, what's going to happen now? What, more meetings, or, I mean, I understand, so you're saying
We're
there'll
going
be
to take
people
feedback from tonight. We're going to take feedback from everything we've heard. We'll sit down with the county engineer, the county manager, and we'll see where where everything lies. I mean, I don't want to speculate what y'all are going to say, but we heard a lot of feedback that folks don't want a lot of what's being proposed.
I live on what's going to happen between, I guess the same thing, Garrard Avenue going to Buckhalter eventually is on this plan?
Not this plan. This phase would be from just Chatham Parkway going to the intersection.
Is there any
back
plan
towards
for that?
Long term, yes, but we don't have funding for that.
What about that curve?
The curve is already 25 miles an hour, so why can't you put a speed bump there if you said that's the speed
That's an
limit?
advisory speed limit.
Is it 15? Suggested on the side.
Speed limit 35.
All residents, according to the driver's law, the manual, all residents, the speed limit should be 25. So why is it 35? That's the speed limit for neighborhoods.
Are you guys able to take the funding and just widen the road and put speed bumps in to the entire Gerard? Or do you have to only put the funding toward this?
We would not. The federal funding would go away if we just put speed bumps in. It doesn't need a standard.
I said widen the road.
Yeah.
Make it safer for the cat buses that we have the problem with the mirrors. So the only way you're getting federal funding is if you say accessibility.
Is to meet a standard. So part of it is for pedestrian improvements, and part of it's just transportation money.
What is the immediate fix for the curve?
The immediate fix is we talked. We're going to look.
Don't cut.
I'm sorry.
Don't cut.
The immediate fix is we're going to put flashing beacons in. We're going to make sure all of the signs through the curb, the chevron signs are installed. It looked like some of those were not installed properly. And then what I noticed driving through is the edge lines have been covered over with dirt. So we're going to cut that back so we can get restrike through the curve to enhance the visibility and kind of direct people through it. That's the interim plan.
Well, the thing about it is, just like trash laying out there now, right next to that gas line. Somebody comes by, throws a cigarette or something out, lights that, it lights that gas line, and there goes everything. That's a 4-inch gas line there. And the trash has been laying out there for 4 weeks. I've called the county twice. They still haven't picked it up. And the thing about it is, if somebody catches that on fire, it's within 3 feet of that 4-inch gas line.
What kind of trash is it? Just like trees?
It was parts that fell off those trees out into Garrard Avenue, and we pulled them over to the side and piled them up.
It's dry trash. It's tree debris. We're making notes. We will get the public works director.
I've done called them twice.
So, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, appreciate that. One thing I'd like to say on this is as far as the confidence, I think folks are losing confidence in what's being told. And some folks are invited in the first meeting, some folks are invited second, some third, and now I think one of the things that helped was the message boards that were put out. That way everybody got a chance to see and everybody could come to the meeting. I think this is the largest crowd we've had for any of those meetings in terms of what we've had so far, any of the 4. I think part of the problem is just confidence. Can we believe what's being told to us? Public Works, we've heard about Public Works, and Public Works are going to maintain the road. And I know, Mr. Panther, that's not your problem. But Mr. Kaigler, as county manager, I think we addressed that problem to you as far as the Public Works go. We've talked about ditches not being cleaned out. When the roads get widened, I don't think that's going to help as far as the ditches getting cleaned. You have to make multiple calls to Public Works to get something done. Based on what we've seen with these drainage ditches around here, gates are falling off. The property finally is being maintained somewhat. But it's a multiple situation. It's county engineers, it's Public Works, and it's the police. It's the enforcement for law enforcement. We've talked about speeding out here a number of times. We keep hearing that. Speed bumps aren't going to help the problem. It's going to slow people down some, yes, but it's going to cause problems with cars, vehicles, trucks, and so forth. 25 miles an hour is not the answer. If you go down Staley Avenue during school hour traffic, 25 miles an hour is hard to do. So I can't see it happening out here on Garrard Avenue. Folks are going way too fast, as we've noticed. But I think, in my opinion, the county needs to coordinate between the engineers, not throwing off on you all, but in terms of what's being done, but between the county engineers, between the Public Works Department, and between the law enforcement groups to kind of work together. Very seldom do we see anybody out here from law enforcement. All these folks are flying up and down the road. If you want to come at 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, any afternoon, especially Monday through Friday, see the folks flying down this road. It's just unreasonable. And they're just going entirely too fast. But we don't see any law enforcement out here. No, as far as anybody being pulled over because of speeding. And that's one thing I think we're all upset with. My opinion, what would help with Garrard Avenue is pave the roads and make sure you get all the roads patched. I think somebody else mentioned that a while ago, widen and pave. And I think if you did that, that would help our folks quite a bit. I don't know of anybody that's looking for sidewalks and those kind of things. That's my opinion. And I encourage you, the ones that are here, that are left, please email. Don't just send a comment on this card and put it in the mail. Email so you'll have a record of what you've sent in. Folks from the county can respond back to you, and you'll have a record of what's being carried on. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Is it?
Is it on?
I think so. Okay, bottom line up front, to save a lot of heartaches and pain and save the county a lot of money, just like the gentleman just said, widen the road just a little bit, maybe 4 or 5 feet on each side, and resurface the road. That'll be more than enough. And all the other issues about the ditch, address that different as it comes up in front of each person's residence. But the way you all plan is going, my driveway, I will be only to get 1 car in my driveway from the garage door to the road. And that ain't good at all. So to save the county a lot of money, I'm quite sure somewhere else you can put up all that money, just widen the road by 4 feet on both sides and resurface the road. Your plan is your plan on the road is looking at future project and future build up in this area. You're not considering the resident that is already here. Your plan is planned for the future. And the citizens that live on Garrard, we want to keep it as it is. Amen. We do not want an expressway, 4-lane, a walkway, and all that going up that road. So, bottom line up front, widen it a little bit and resurface it, and everybody be happy.
Are they really willing to trash that? With the money that was put in to design that, the county's really willing to trash it? And
We're going to take comments.
So no, okay, because it says in black and white on your website that it is anticipated.
We are going to take comments. We will evaluate what those comments are, and then we will discuss and make options of how we go forward. That's the best I can tell you.
No representation.
I'm sorry?
Just the comments or the representation. Everyone else is just for the county that's making the decision. Is that what you're saying?
This is your chance to have feedback.
Yeah. No stakeholder would be in that vote that you're saying you're going to have, right?
We're not having a vote. We're taking comments and feedback.
But you said you're going to take comments and feedback back, and then we're going to decide.
We're going to evaluate and see what our options are. We have to give a professional opinion of how we proceed forward with this.
You guys deciding.
The bottom line is
It's not us.
decision and the money has already been allocated, made. The meeting we had today is just you all telling us what you want to do.
No, that's not correct.
I think you asked a question, and I want to make sure I got the question right. You said, would we be willing to scrap the project? Yeah. And the answer is yes. We've had, the engineers can tell you, we've had a number of cases where we proposed a project and the community didn't want it, so we scrapped the project. So I think that's why we're out here tonight. We want to get input.
So would you all be taking back wherever, what was said in tonight?
And it was recorded.
Yes.
Everything has been recorded.
And where can we find updates that you guys have,
We-
like online or a report?
We have the county website, and I plan to have another one of these out here. Because before we do anything else, we'll have another one of these out here.
So I think the majority of the residents that live on garage, they want to scrap and just widen the road a little bit
No, we're gonna do a little bit, and we're gonna do it, we'll do what we suggested, right?
They don't have the funding to widen the road, that's what he's saying. They don't have.
So, we're wrapping up now?
Yeah. She did have a question.
What you mean by y'all gonna do what y'all say?
I said, he said do it a little bit.
Oh, okay.
That's what he said, a little bit.
Well, we're talking about 4 to 5 feet on each side.
None of that has been determined yet. This meeting is to get input so that the design plan that is still in designing can, all that will be included. All that will be.
And he said that the funding that they have for the project has to include sidewalks and bike paths.
Some of it.
He said
Some of
80%
it.
is coming from federal.
A portion, not all the federal money is tied to pedestrian improvements.
But to
A
get
portion.
it, what I heard you say, and correct me, you said in order to use the funds, because they're federal funds, you have to have the sidewalk.
A portion of the funding is for pedestrian improvements. That portion, if we chose not to do the pedestrian facilities, would go away. Another portion is federal money. Another portion is federal money dedicated to transportation improvements. There's 2 different pots of federal money we've
You
got.
have the money to widen them. And we can save some money. The windows.
Quick question. I know there's been some questions about restaurants, and something I learned about recently, and I don't know if I'm saying the word right, you guys might know better, is it chicane or CHI?
Yes.
Is that something where, so it may be where these bus stops are along the road?
We have chicanes currently in this plan.
You do have, okay, I didn't see them, or was, okay, well, that.
You come up
might be
after, we'll
helpful.
show you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
But I do know, how many actual bus stops are there even on the road?
One. But in the plan, there's additional.
Yeah, on Gerard, so there's one?
But as part of these projects also, as part of these projects,
Well, I mean, we fought having the apartments, we didn't, I mean, for years. The reason most people have the public transportation are for apartment transient, which are usually transient folks. But typically, I'd rather not, but you still have to have it.
And why would you add it?
But we don't have that.
Yeah, why would they add it to an area where there's no bus need? Like, that's what blows my mind about the whole project, is you're putting an additional bus stop where no one in the community was surveyed to use
Again,
it.
this is not in stone.
No, I understand.
Okay, so.
But that was a ton of money spent to get that suggestion.
Well, that was a ton of money that we spent to have the consulting done.
That's what I mean, the consulting, yes.
Now nobody wants to do it.
Well, if they had surveyed every homeowner, hey, do you use the bus? Hey, do you walk? Hey, do you jog? Do you have a wheelchair need? Do you, like, accessibility? Do you bike? Then they would have known. But they didn't do that to all of us who are stakeholders who live it. I never got a survey saying, how many times do you ride the bus?
Kimberly.
I never did. She did a survey for us? I live on Gerard, I promise you. And I have 2 houses on Gerard.
The consulting firm that we hired did not do that.
No. But they got it.
I opened my front door to go out one day, and there was a gentleman in front of my kitchen window, standing in front of my window on my property. And I asked him what was he doing. He said he was sent there by the engineering department. So I
To do what?
he was likely surveying, and we sent out survey letters.
Yeah, that's what I was told that they did, but I didn't receive a letter.
I apologize.
So
We sent them to all the property owners that were.
I didn't get
I'm not saying you didn't get it.
But I eventually, because I asked him to give me a number to call to find out why he was out here. I didn't know, I mean, had somebody standing in front of your window, I mean, you gonna want to know what and where, who sent them. So, within, after I got off the phone, I spoke to somebody in Atlanta, and they told me to call the engineering department. But anyway, to make a long story short, 10 minutes late, well, the gentleman said, oh, we sent them to homeowners only. Excuse me, I am a homeowner. So everybody didn't get one. But I got one within an hour. Okay? I'm just saying.
I don't doubt it, I mean.
I'm just saying now, people will get their people pick and choose or whatever the situation is, but whatever is going on with something I worked hard to pay for and still paying for, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be in it to the finish. So for you to say that was very insulting to me, for you to say, or you sell it, I mean,
I did.
It came out wrong. You may not have
I didn't mean sell your property, like your entire property. The strip of land that we need for acquisition. I misspoke. I'm not trying to insult you.
Okay, well, I accept your apology, sir, because I know I gave Chatham County Sheriff's Department 21 years and 5 months and still going. Okay, and then y'all can see all these folk around here, ain't no spring chicken. We not. I did. I gave you one and I gave you a card too. And it's a pleasure meeting you, and I sure would like to later on. Okay, here your pen. But I'm serious. Yeah. So everybody is, I'm just saying, everybody really isn't getting their information. Simple as that. Because he almost got some buckshot. I'm not lying.
I want to thank all of y'all for coming out tonight. We have gotten, I think everybody got a chance to express themselves. So we've got all of your comment cards, and as the engineer has stated, we're going to review all of that, and then we'll be back. We'll be back.
Make sure y'all put them marquees or whatever that is out there.